there are quite a few people, or a lot of people who have had these horrible sounding surgeries who appear to be living quite happily.
So I hear this all the time. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a real life example. I went to Florida State University to have conversations on campus with Chloe Cole. Chloe Cole is a young woman who was harmed. She went on puberty blockers and testosterone at the age of 12 or 13. She had a double mastectomy at 15. She regretted it less than a year later. Mm. She's been speaking out all across the US, helping to get legislation passed, etc. But I was there having conversations with her, and this young trans-identified woman, I think, sometimes it's hard to tell, she came up to talk to me, literally shaking. Literally, this happens all the time. People get these adrenaline dumps and they're shaking. Angry. We spoke for 5-10 minutes. Towards the end, she started to cry. But she will swear up and down that she's the happiest she's ever been. Words do not reflect reality when you see these people in real life. They can say they're happier. They'll all tell you, by the way, that if I didn't have puberty blockers, I would have killed myself.
But the stats don't show that.
Yet the data does not support that. So what people say and what is reflected in reality are two different things.
We talked about cults. A lot of the indoctrination with children, of course, that's quite culty, and it makes you think of Maoist communism or whatever. You know, that was always the kids, and the kids would have to go against their parents. There'd be a struggle session, stuff like that. With that stuff, with your own kids, have you experienced schools trying to pass that stuff on to them?
So I made a big stink when I started this campaign at my kids' elementary school. I spoke with the principal for 45 minutes right in the beginning of my campaign in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. He'd heard that I'd started this campaign, and he was a problem. A problem. So I told him when I was speaking, I said, I've embarked on this campaign and I might write about our conversation today, just so you know, on social media. And he was a problem. So
what did he say?
Oh my gosh. So I had gotten into this conversation in our local community's Facebook group where I'd posted some of the materials that were part of the school curriculum, part of the school lesson plans. For example, kindergartners, they might be asked to fill out a little card which says, "Hi, my name's Sheila. Please call me they." And their job is to go around the classroom of kindergartners, introducing themselves with these alternate pronouns. These children were in diapers 2 years ago. They should not be practicing pronouns. This is insane. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you indoctrinate children, that's the best way to change the culture. And that's what's happening. And I knew the moment they put this in schools, we had a problem. And my light bulb went off in my head, and I knew I had to do something about this. But I posted some of these lesson plans in our local community's Facebook group with thousands of people. Right away, all these activists showed up, including a human rights lawyer. I don't even think she lives in the community. I think she's in all these different groups to silence people. But I said, I'm going to go around the community and I'm going to drop off some of these actual lesson plans door to door so that parents can know what's going on in their schools. The principal of my kid's school said if I did that, I would make the community feel unsafe. I said, let me get this straight. If I just drop off the lesson plans produced by the government with no commentary, I'm going to make people feel unsafe? Do you hear yourself right now? And he was a problem. And so I went home and I looked up, in Canada and US, we have school boards. Each city has their own school board, 7, 8, 9 members who help determine policy and things like that. And I looked up all of the school trustees in all these cities near me, representing millions of people. I then looked up which ones had Twitter accounts. And I wrote this thread all night long about all the abuses happening to kids. And in each part of this thread, I tagged different school board members, their Twitter accounts. So when they woke up in the morning, they all had 500-600 notifications. Well, the school district reached out to me to have a meeting. I met with them, and I kid you not, the woman responsible for safe schools in Surrey, British Columbia, she teared up about 3 times during this meeting because she agreed with me.
Wow.
And the other gentleman, I could also tell he agreed with me. They can't say that, but I can tell talking to them. We had this hour-long meeting. We both recorded it. And they said, look, Chris, there's nothing we can do. You have to talk to the Minister of Education because this all comes from the top down. And there's pretty much nothing they can do. So anyway, the school learned that I'm probably not someone they want to mess with, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And so I've essentially gotten to pick my kids' school teachers in elementary school. So not all teachers are pushing this, of course. And my kids' teachers have been great. So I haven't had a problem. And I've had these conversations with my kids at age-appropriate levels over the years. They fully understand what's going on. My eldest, she's 14 now. She's in grade 10. She was showing all her friends at high school my speech at the UN the other day.
Huh.
And she's been a positive influence for these other kids because in grade 7, her teacher did spend one day talking about the gender unicorn a little bit.
Okay.
And my daughter spoke up and said, it seems to me this is all about stereotypes. If a girl wants to have short hair, what's wrong with that? She's still a girl. And whereas the kids had all been quiet because they know instinctively this is wrong, these teachings. As soon as she spoke up, it breathed courage into these other kids who then said, yeah, that's right. And I know another boy in grade 7 in that same school, different teacher, one of these activist teachers pushing this. 3 boys in that grade 7 class made their teacher cry because the boys said that boys have no business playing in girls' sports. And they wouldn't back down on their opinion. And they made this activist teacher cry. How pathetic is that?
What's so frustrating is that I'm sure those teachers would have read about the struggle sessions and Mao and the Bolsheviks and all of these kinds of things, and they can't see that they're doing exactly what they may have read about.
Yeah, that's right. There are a ton of parallels between this and cults and communism as well. A lot of the people pushing gender ideology will straight up tell you that they're communists. I've had counter protests. Normally, I'm just out there to have conversation. I don't really consider myself a protester. My signs are just a means of stimulating conversation. But I have held some protests. I've had a whole lot of crazy things happen, including getting my arm broken and 35 assaults and being arrested twice after being assaulted. But I had a counter protest of a few hundred people in Toronto, Canada, and they were literally holding up signs with Lenin's picture on them or Karl Marx's picture on them because they're just straight up communists. And before that protest I held in Toronto, the Labour Congress of Canada, representing 100 different labour unions, all got together on a Zoom call that was leaked out, all talking about what are they going to do to derail this protest and these other protests that I'd inspired across Canada. What were all these union members going to do? We're talking about the electrical workers union, the steel workers union, all these unions representing men, 100% of whom support me. But the union heads are all communists. And they're the ones pushing this.